Third race of the BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup. We're at the 2010 Winter Olympic track in Whistler in beautiful British Columbia in Canada. Hello everybody, I'm Martin Haven, alongside me IBSF bobsled legend John Morgan. John, this track has produced some tough races in the past, the fastest sheet of ice on the planet.
Special facility they have up here in Whistler, the site of next year's 2019 World Bobsleigh and Skeleton Championships. It's steep, it's fast, and needless to say, the athletes are well challenged. The start, well, this is Hefty and Lamparter from 2009. That's been around for almost 10 years. Well, here, the first curve, they call it slingshot. You drop off 6 stories. Boy, you pick up speed so fast, so quick. And now you're into these top meticulous curves that no mistakes allowed, because you're still 60 miles an hour out of this wedge. And now into Luder's Loop coming up here. That's probably the biggest challenge right here in the top part of the track. This exit here into this little chicane, it's not a straightaway, it's tricky, you're gonna tap. Boy, the speeds, links, and it just keeps getting faster. Shiver. Well, you're shivering right about here unless you're just a pure speed addict. Gold Rush. Well, the speeds and the G-forces in the Thunderbird, almost 4.5 Gs, 90-mile-an-hour speeds. This is some special facility they built up here for the Olympics in 2010.
Well, the track record set in our last race here by Russia's Alexander Kasyanov and Alexei Pushkarev, but the start record set in the very first ever international race on this track when it was homologated in 2009. And Beat Hefty, the man who set that start record, and Alexander Kasyanov, the track record holder, both in today's field. And it is a big field again. You know, it's Olympic year, so everybody is bringing their A game. Cody Basque from Whitehall, New York, is the World Cup points leader in two-man and combined. That's how good of a start to the season he's having, and he's ahead of Justin Cripps and Nick Cunningham. And further on down you can see the rest of the World Cup rankings. It's been a pretty tight season so far. We did double two-man duty last time out in Lake Placid. On the left there, Alexander Kasyanov, the man who set the track record. And Kasyanov with a decent record here, who's had bronze medals in the double two-man weekend 2 years ago. Rico Peter won one of those races, and he was silver here last time out. Nico Walter, already a two-man race winner and a four-man race winner this season. And the Brits last weekend in the four-man, 3rd and 6th position. They had a really good time.
Ryan Bailey
from the USA, he'll be on today's starting list at 27 sleds, first of whom will be Korea's Don Young Kim. And the first 5 come from outside the top 20 in the World Cup rankings. And then we get into the meat of the sandwich, where all the front runners in the World Cup will be found. Up to 15 spot the points leader, Cody Basque, and then outside of them, the rest of the field. The Latvians are here in strength. There were no Latvian sliders here in North America last season, but they are all back in number, so we'll wait and see how they fare up against the best of the rest of the world. Race 3 of the BMW IBSF two-man bobsleigh World Cup. We're in Whistler, British Columbia, and the first of 27 sleds on the ice is Korea's Don Young Kim with Jihan Oh, his brake man. Pierre Luder's behind, the man who knows this track well.
He was the first man that was ever down the track, Pierre Luder's.
Curve 7 is named after him, Luder's Loop.
Okay, the start. Yeah, you got to have the powerful start, especially your entrance into the first curve and your exit, and you drop down 6 stories. TV does not do it justice right there. Keep your eyes on the speed up here on the left. That'll tell you a lot about the run.
Through 3 and into corner 4, the first big 180-degree single pressure turn, then wriggling through 5 and into corner 6, then heading down to Luder's Loop.
Looks like better ice than they've been dealing with all week. Boy, those are good lines there in the chicane.
Dramatic whip into corner 9 and 10, and then up to 13, Holkeys 50-50.
Watch him tap the right side here. No, very tight. Oh, as I say that, it looks like he got in there where he wanted to, but the corner dictated his exit. That was not the last sled we will see on 2 runners.
No, huge double pressure at the bottom there, and they are traveling at 91 miles an hour.
90 miles an hour?
Actually, it's a relatively slow track, but yeah, 91 miles an hour on sheet ice. Astonishing. 52.40, by the way. Track record is 51.31.
Second 9. I think we'll get down into the 51s, but I don't know if we're going to challenge the record.
Yeah.
Second run might get colder. We could see a record.
Kim shakes his head.
Well, watch him tap the right wall here a little bit. See, you taps there on the take on. That pushes you over in the middle. And then down here on these. Look at that.
Yeah.
That was trying to get on too early. And once that happens, watch this. Not the way you want to be looking at curve 14. And airborne runners, articulation to see the way the sled splits. That's maximum right there.
He was watching that, shaking his head. Really had to haul it off there to keep them upright. So Kim, first man down. Next up is one of our younger drivers, Youth Olympic champion Patrick Baumgartner, the 23-year-old from Italy. Never raced here before.
Long time brakeman, Simone Fontana. You know, most people come from track and field backgrounds. Fontana's the only guy I know in the field comes from cross country as his former sport.
Well, frequently a brakeman for Simone Battazzo, and he'll be on Battazzo's 4-man sled tomorrow, probably. Battazzo comes up much later in the start draw. The Italian's going second off and second last off, so they've got the field surrounded. Drops down into 9.
Decent, controlled, but controlled might not be fast. Skeleton race this morning, we saw the winner come down. It was like a hellacious ride down the track, and she went away and won the race going away. So sometimes smooth isn't fast.
Tucks his head down under the cowling, 0.67 back, 53.07. You know, for a lot of these athletes, particularly the first timers, just getting it down in one piece without wrecking you and your crew, that's, you know, you don't learn anything by sliding upside down on your head here, other than it hurts probably more than many other tracks. But he gets down safely. Whether he gets the second heat or not remains to be seen.
He hasn't had a second heat yet in the first 2 World Cups, and taps like that up top where the speeds are slow, that not what you want to do. And this is meticulous steering on the exit here.
First time in North America for the young Italian Patrick Baumgartner. 2 sleds down. Just 1 scare so far. Next up, Brad Hall of Great Britain with Joel Fearon behind him, 3rd fastest ever 100-meter sprinter in the UK. And Brad Hall, 4-man bronze medalist last week in Park City. He's never raced here either. Never done any of the North American tracks before this month.
Should be a good start here. Best start we've seen is a 492. They should be in the 80s.
See, the sled's still a development sled, still in primer.
Sneaks through curve 1, not bad.
Well, if confidence is anything coming to this track, Brad has got his tail up after a bronze medal in his very last drive in Park City. 19th and then disqualified in the second race for technical infringement in the double 2-man weekend in Lake Placid a fortnight ago. Not a bad run.
That's up related to the start.
At the moment, he's driving himself definitely into the second heat. You've got to think 1800s up, needs to keep it together.
Pretty good today.
Speed at the bottom, 85.9 compared to Kim's 91 miles an hour. Now, ooh, held it low in Thunderbird at the line, 3/10 in front, 52s. Coach Lee Johnson on the right there of your picture. That should be enough. I think 52s is where you need to be to get into this field. We'll wait and see. Track record 51.31, so 7/10 away. That's from the all-time track record. That sounds like a pretty decent run from Brad Hall and Joel Fearon.
Well, a little rough off 6, 7. Not bad. And then here, this chicane is not a straightaway. And he's hugging the left wall. The best way to come down is the middle right.
Yeah, hard to get over to the right-hand side. Next up is Frenchman Loïc Costeg, the 30-year-old forestry engineer from Moutier, which is close to La Plagne. Behind him, Dorian Hauteville, the brakeman, is from the French Caribbean island of Guadeloupe. He's a 10.05 100-meter sprinter. So Dorian Hauteville, they reckon he's the fastest French brakeman since his coach, Max Robert. Now, like Costeg, 21st here last year, 19th in his only previous appearance in two-man. It was in 2012.
They seem to have a lot more confidence in the four-man sleds.
He's definitely got more of a feel for the four-man. 4.94, that's a decent start from the two French athletes. Really plummet down the hill here. You build up speed so fast in Whistler.
Well, we know we can drive. Comes out from La Plagne, where you have to drive well. Of course, tutored by Bruno Manjon, 99 world champion in four-man and bronze medalist in the 98 games in Nagano. That was the French greatest success. Sideways in the straight there. And hoping this guy can mirror what Manjon.
0.2 of a second down, 82.5 miles an hour. So about the same speed as Brad Hall, the current leader.
It's back though, and that's relative
closing
to the 900s.
at the line, 1800s back.
Got beat by 900s at the start, only 18 at the bottom. There's the legend Bruno Manjon.
Better speed at the bottom than Brad Hall, but only just a fraction, so quite close at the line. However, second place at the moment, and could be in with a shout.
Should be enough.
Should get a second heat as well, you think?
Watch the heads, a little late off the curve there. That's Luder's Loop and 7, 8, 9. They call that is the straightaway. So there's a couple curves in there. 7, 8. It's not a straightaway. It's a bend away. And late there.
So there is Loïc Costeg of France, currently lying in second place. Next up, Ivo de Bruin of the Netherlands, 34-year-old driver with Seaman Friedley behind him. Team coached by Tom Delahunty. 3 World Cup races here. He's won medals in the North America's Cup when he was at junior level.
He definitely had better start times last week at Park City.
Well, that's the return of Bro van der Zijde, the former shot putter and hammer thrower, behind him, 4.97.
Good line out of 1.
Bro's a Dutchman, started his career with the Dutch team, but then slid for Switzerland for the last couple of seasons.
They've got strict Dutch Olympic Committee qualifications laid on them. They got to finish in the top 8 in any one of these World Cup races, or top 10 in standings. Pretty strict. Dutch has done that the last number of years for the sliding sports athletes.
Well, he was 20th in the season opener in Lake Placid, missed the cut on the second day.
Oh, high there. Down to the, ooh, Thunderbird up into the lip.
Yeah.
Bang, sled got away from there in the bottom. That's going uphill. Third place isn't bad, considering the mistakes, considering the start deficiency at fourth. Only
well,
31.
He's really missed it up. I wonder if that was part of the issue.
He's tied with Kim.
He's tied with Kim in third place, so they'll either both be in or neither.
Look at the rudder tips.
Look how misted the visor is already early in the run.
He tipped there going in, hit going in, so that's why he was late into the next curve and got off. This is backwards. This is down where it's 85 to 90 mile an hour speed. Watch him climb Thunderbird, up, down. The sled's almost going to disappear, and then it's going to go back up in the outlet and hit in that straightaway coming up at the finish.
Imagine driving your road car at 90 miles an hour with the windscreen fogged up. Top 5 with Brad Hall heading the standings. 22 sleds still to come. 34-year-old Swiss Rico Peter, former race winner in two-man on this track. A couple of seasons ago, we had double two-man weekend here in Whistler. And Rico Peter tied sensationally to the 100th with Yun Jung Won to both take gold in the second race. Rico Peter took silver last year here as well, so this clearly is a track where he has lots of potential.
This should be the leader at the bottom, because this is the best driver in the field to date 5th and 7th in the first 2 World Cups in Lake Placid and Park City, respectively. And second best start. And perfect line so far by the guy that I call a reckless driver. He's reckless, but he's always fast, except last week at Park City.
Well, Reckless won the women's skeleton race early on this morning, and the wildest ride we saw out of the entire field ended up with gold for Jacqueline Lurling. Can Rico Peter get in there?
Well, he's still 900s behind.
Yeah.
Surprised.
He remains a little late there.
Here he comes, though. It looks reckless, but guess what?
Speed's good. 86.7. Speed's not so great.
Got to be perfect here. And he's the green numbers, ducks his head. 700s, 52.02. I'm saying that's not that good a run.
No,
he should have been better than that ahead of Brad Hall.
That wasn't the tidiest run we've seen, for sure.
Now, again, there's the question about how much is the track, when does the track time go away, which we see sometimes.
Refrigeration is definitely on hard because it is such a temperate, moist day.
What's this crossover here?
Oh, dear.
Yeah. Of course, track dictating to him, and then this is the 50-50, sneaks away there. Rudder tips. Look at the heads. No, look at quietly exit 13 there. Good aerodynamic profile by his brakeman, Simo Fredley.
So Rico Peter leads from Brad Hall and Loic Kosterg. 6 down, 21 still to go. No Latvians here last year, so Oskars Kibermanis last saw this track the previous season, and he was in 18th place in both of the races in January 2016.
I bet he's not 18th this time out.
24-year-old really picked up his game last year, ended up with 2 bronze medals and a silver in the 2-man season.
Most importantly, I like that track over in Korea. Did very well over there too.
Yeah, 4th place in the 2-man race and 2nd in the 4-man, yeah. Impressive stuff. 4th in the World Championships in Königsberg, a silver in Pyeongchang. So he had a good season last year in 2 and 4. Oh, and a huge skid in tonight. Backs it in.
The first sled out of control out of Luder's loop in the chicane.
Yeah.
And he's not really in control here. See him in the 50-50 point, make that look quiet, but he's in red numbers.
It's something like 4 or 5 miles an hour slower than Ben Hefty to the line, and this is going to see him in 3rd place.
Behind Brad Hall.
I have to say, Brad Hall's run so far is standing up to scrutiny, but don't forget we've only got the first couple of our potential race winners down the track so far.
Well, needless to say that chicane probably put about 2/10, maybe 1500ths of time.
Yeah. What are we going to see in replay, do you reckon?
Yeah. This is Luder's loop. He gets up too late now. He comes down, he gets off. He's almost airborne. Now watch that skid it causes. And this is not the way to enter curve 9. And that's a lot of skidding. And then he still hasn't corrected. And this is, 100 yards later. He's still behind the 8 ball, you could say.
Fully backing it in there.
On this track?
Yep.
There's a lot of 8 balls all over the place.
Next up is Nico Walter, 27-year-old German, won the opening race in the 2-man World Cup campaign in Lake Placid. 15th on this track last year. 12th and 6th the year before that in the double 2-man weekend. And Alexander Rödiger, his brakeman, his first 2-man start at the top level since pushing Max Arndt in the Olympic Games in Sochi.
Wow. Start time 49. This has been a good season so far for Nico Walter. With 2 first-place finishes, 1 in the 2-man, 1 in the 4-man in 4 races. And his FES sled, he's feeling really good about it.
Yeah, both FES 2-man and 4-man sleds look like they're the class of the German field at the moment. And Alex Rödiger been pushing really hard with the pace. They're cycling brakemen around, keeping them all race fit. It's nearly an entire quad since he started a top-level 2-man race.
It's back, speed on the bottom. Let's check it out.
And smooth ride. And this sled produced speed at the bottom in Lake Placid. Where is he at the line?
No, look at that.
Tied with Kibermanis. No, in fact, 200s behind Kibermanis. So in 4th place at the moment.
Well,
still 92 miles an hour. Lord.
Still looking at those times. Brad Hall went 3rd. Walter went 8th.
Rico Peter went 2 sleds in front of Nico and still came down 1700s quicker.
He flops off this curve here up top, and that's the entrance into Leader's Loop. And, saw some really crazy lines and skeleton this morning there.
Well, 6, 9, 12, 13 there, the real key speed areas, and he messed up 6. Next up, Chris Spring won the opening race here 2 years ago, 10th last year, a little off form. Neville Wright, the 36-year-old brakeman, took 2 years out of the sport, returned last year. He took silver back in the post-Olympic race with Lyndon Rush of Canada.
I'd like to bet a little bit of money. This is the leader at the bottom, and I said that about Rico Peter.
Yeah.
And he was off by, he got to the bottom of the lead.
Oh, good start, 483, fastest we've seen.
Springer loves this place, as all of the Canadians do. You know, we like to say that first track of the year, we went Placid, a little bit like Martinsville in NASCAR, and then we moved to Park City, was probably like Kansas. Well, this is like Talladega or Daytona here. This is a super speedway up here in Whistler. You're seeing speeds 90+ miles an hour. It does catch your attention.
600s in the lead at the start. Still 600s in the lead. Now he's opening up the advantage slightly, but he's got speed on board.
Perfect lines. 15, he's pulling away now.
Nice run from Springer. Perfect exit to Thunderbird. Carries the speed to the line. There you go.
Here's our first 51.84. Derek Pluck. His teammate likes it, as he should.
That is a neat and tidy run. We've already had 1 Canadian in the medals in the women's skeleton race. Jane Channell equaled her career best with a silver medal.
I'm saying now there'll be at least 2 Canadians in the leaderboard here before we're done on this day. Good start. Well, when you have the best start at the top of the track, you have the best chance for the best time at the bottom. And that's what Chris Spring and Neville Wright just did. These perfect lines are pretty good. I mean, out of Luder's Loop into 9. Climbs a little bit there. This is down in that link section.
Yep. 9 to 10, held it together well on the exit of 9, and he is the race leader. Next up, though, is compatriot and rival Justin Cripps. The 30-year-old was 4th in a 2-man race here in 2016, 5th and 8th the year before, and he's got Canada's #1 brakeman behind him, 27-year-old Alex Kopax.
This is probably going to be high 70s, low 80s here. 2 of the better starting. Problem big.
Well, that strikes the short wall before turn 1.
The question now is, did they run it too far in 1 step? And if anybody should know how many steps you got to run on this track, it'd be a Canadian.
Did Cripps get his feet caught and didn't get the push bar down? He didn't have the handles when they came out of the grooves, did he?
Not what you would expect out of the driver who's probably been down the track as much as anybody, if not more. Only 800's back, perfect line in that chicane.
There you go. Well, this happened with Elizabeth Varche in the second heat of the women's skeleton. She popped the groove and then just drove out of her skin in frustration and anger, and it looks like Cripps is doing the same. Is he closing? Yes, he's not too far away.
Right near Rico Peter for second, third.
Battle for second. He's tied.
The coaches know that wasn't what Cripps wanted.
Lyndon Rush on the left, the winner here, 2011-12 in the 2-man race.
Now let's see his expression as he...
Well, shake of the head, you can understand that because it's all about the start. Speed loss there is hard to gain down the track.
See if they run too far. Maybe he gets his foot caught in the D-ring.
Watch when he gets in. Feet are in, still going straight, hits the bar, hits the paddle to get the bar in, and doesn't have the steering as they come out.
Looks like Alex came down right at the edge of the start grooves, and Cripps didn't have a hold of him.
Less than perfect. But Justin Cripps and Chris Spring are the top 2 for Canada. Rico Peter right in the mix. First of the 3 US sleds is 32-year-old Californian Nick Cunningham, 28-year-old Ryan Bailey, the sprinter from Portland, Oregon, who's new to the team this season, is on the back. pushing with the US Army captain. 19th and 14th 2 years ago. Nick Cunningham didn't race here in the World Cup last year, but did do North America's Cup. So he's had 4 races here in the last 2 seasons.
I think he did 4-man here last year during the World Cup. It was the only race he did in the World Cup season. And that start 40, he won. He didn't have starts like this ever on this track. He crushes the wall out of 1, which sort of just detracts from that great start. Best start. Cunningham second and 4th of the 2 USA tracks in Lake Placid and Park City. Well, the 2 events they had in Lake Placid. Don't get confused. Boy, rough out of 6. Bodie nosedived it in Luna's Loop. See if that cost him. He's still late.
Better out of 9 and 10. Now he's got to keep the speed alive.
Rough transitions off all these curves.
It's just a little quicker than he was anticipating. Got to recalibrate very quickly at these high speeds.
7th or 8th looks like. Bang, that's worse.
Slide and a skid, 7th.
So Nick was rough all the way down the track, and when you post the best start time like that, boy, you expect a guy with his much experience to deliver a better drive down, because that was more hits than Elvis.
There's Mike Kahn at the front of the sled. So Plotzer at the back, and Cunningham.
Watch the way watch the sled comes off the curve late. Watch the 2 bodies in the sleds. Bang, a lot of energy left to right. Good aerodynamic profile by Bailey. And watch this, he's still not coming off the curves on his terms. He's coming off late. Saw the heads left to right. Now he's down in the speed part of the track.
Just a little quicker than he was anticipating. Next up, and very quick off, is Francesco Frugic, our reigning 2-man world champion and World Cup champion.
Won this event last year, right?
He did indeed. It's his first medal on this track.
Has not really. He's 9th in World Cup standings. With a 9th in 2 events. I kind of believe he's not going to finish 9th in this event.
This was the season opener last year. It was the first of 5 wins on his way to the World Cup title.
Oh, he was high in the exit of 6. Cost him. Boy, look how much time he lost.
It was very wet and snowy and rainy in training. The ice was soft and offered a lot more grip than it is today on Wednesday.
It's way off the pace.
You want to bet he's not going to be 9th?
Boy,
he might be doing well to be 9th
12
now. He could be the slowest run down the track. No, he's just ahead of the Italian rookie Baumgartner.
Wow, watch him look at the board. These guys are going to be shot. Or look at the look on his face.
There's Torsten Margus. Yikes. Well, again, it's pick a corner, because there was mistakes at almost every single one.
I said he's sleeping. He's waiting to peak in February. Look how high he gets there. He hits the lip. How many? I haven't seen anybody hit the lip there.
That's not soft pedaling.
That's the exit of 6, and then he drops off there. Did he lose that much time there? That's unbelievable.
Well, he lost it everywhere, didn't he? You know, it is pick a mistake, any mistake. That was not a class run from Francesco Frugic, and his teammate Johannes Lochner comes up next. 27-year-old from Bavaria was 6th and 12th in Lake Placid, but 4th here on his last drive here in 2016. He had a 2-man win last time in Koenigsegg, Bavaria in January in the run-up to the World Championships.
Martin, we usually can predict a lot of things to happen in this sport, but I think I'm done predicting things today.
They might thank you for that. All right, so let's see what Hansi has got. He's got Christian Rasp behind him, who was on the bronze medal winning 4-man sled here last year.
Great technique for the brakeman with the arms coming over and cohesive. Man.
Interesting that he steered all the way straight out of the grooves before getting the push bar down.
And he was 486 start. Johannes has usually been one of the best starters in the field. He's 6th best start.
Oh, high in 6. Gets it together.
This isn't very good either. He's way back. Is the track lost it?
He's not falling off all the corners late, but he hasn't got much in the way of speed. But like Frugic, also in a Valna sled, half a second back.
This is 12th. This is
Well, yeah, if you didn't have the clock, it's neat, it's tidy, he hasn't hit much, he gets a good run to the line, and he's 7/10 of a second behind.
Okay. I give up. The Germans are in 11th and 12th.
Now,
The world champion, Lochner has won the last. I mean, it's just...
He hit almost nothing. Friedrich hit almost everything, and Lochner's only 800s behind him.
And Cripps hit the wall before curve 1 is in second.
And probably only because he hit the wall into corner 1. Now, at the moment...
What's this here?
Don't know.
You know, he only had the 6th best start. Let's see what you said. Does he drive around these, out of these drive lines?
No, he gets it straight into turn 1, then gets the bar in, so the opposite of what Cripps did. But then he bumps off turn 1.
Yeah. He got in there a little bit too early and it bumped him over. No start, no speed, no result.
Well, next up is Yun Jung Won. He was the bronze medalist here last year, the gold medalist in the second of the double races here the season before. A monumental day for him and for Korean bobsledding.
Big boost, come on now.
Well, if he finishes out of the top 10, then we can say that the track has lost all its speed.
Not necessarily, because he was 10th and 13th in Lake Placid.
But he was pretty quick in training this week.
Yeah, and so were the others, but the track was very different.
Well,
479, fastest start in the field.
Perfect exit, speed.
Only 900s away from the all-time start record. And he's 700ths of a second up over Chris Spring, who started 483. So he sort of doubled his start advantage into 7. Keeps it nice and flat in Luder's Loop, but he's gone behind.
Only 200s. The German sleds were down by 3/10 at that point.
Yeah, well, he's in the mix.
He's got a chance, yeah. He's got a chance. If he's 9, he could keep this in the top 5. He could keep this, he might challenge.
Good top speed. Close.
17, yeah.
Close to top 6. Is he going to be in the 6 at the line?
Brad Hall.
Yeah, 4th place. Tied with Brad Hall.
That's all right, Pierre. I agree with you. Now, the Germans, as I said in the Lake Placid event, you know, Friedrich is just sleeping. He wants to peak at the Olympic Games, but you still see some frustrating looks on their faces when they get to the bottom.
Well, Johannes Lochner has only been here once, and so that kind of might explain some of that, but Yun Jung Won, he's got plenty of experience here, and he showed it. Great acceleration as well at the start.
See that Won is a 3/10 better, quicker in that first 30 meters, the explosion off the block.
Yeah.
And that's difference 400ths difference at the start.
Next up is Cody Basque, bronze medal in the season opener in Lake Placid, and the boy from Whitehall, New York, then went on the next day to take gold. So he's had a great start. He is our 2-man World Cup points leader.
His teammate Steve Holcomb will be pretty proud of Basque is now ranked.
Yeah, he really would, and the whole US team is on a real high here.
Well, that's on home cooking tracks, Lake Placid and Park City. Let's see what Cody can do here.
He's only raced here once in his career.
Great start.
Yes, it is.
The duck, you know, the tailback from the University of Michigan, the one who played football at Rice. USA Rugby was really high on him. He was in the, oh, look at that. He almost, the skid in Luder's Loop. We've seen that before. And that immediately takes red, green to red numbers.
Crept away a little bit. Now he's still in the mix, but oh.
Looks like about 24 hours. That's already fallen at night.
Wow. This is, he doesn't know this track anything even remotely like he knows the other North American tracks. He's had dozens of races in Calgary, once only ever here in Whistler.
Top 10, maybe.
Well, top 10 would be a decent run, and it is 10th place, a 52.35, so that'll see him safely into the second heat. But the last 3 sleds in our order, Francesco Friedrich, Johannes Lochner, and Baumgartner of Italy, Patrick Baumgartner, they're the guys in the drop zone.
Well, that Luder's Loop is his problem right here. Look at the back end of the sled.
Well, this is
look at the sled.
4, big skid at the back.
That wasn't Luder's Loop. That was weird.
That was high up.
Yeah. Down here, a little skid there too. That didn't.
Gets it back quickly. Well, Cody Basque in 10th place after the first group of sleds. Chris Spring and Justin Cripps, the point men for Canada. 15 sleds down, 12 to go, 5 spots left in the race. Oskars Melbardis of Latvia next up. 14th and 11th in the season openers in Park City, Lake Placid in two-man. He was 5th and 4th here 2 years ago. Didn't race here last year. He was still on the injury list.
Well, the two biggest guys running down this track today. And they propelled themselves to a 4:88 sub-start time. They're usually the best starters in the field, but of course, both of them have been through back surgeries in the last couple of years. Not as young as they used to be, but
they're coming back. They're getting fitter and faster, and that's what you expect from them at the moment.
This is the 16th of 27 sleds.
He was 500s behind. Now he's 1400s as he drops into 9. Still top 10.
not bad. He's hanging in there. That's deficient stunt time.
Okay, now here he comes, up into 7th on the split times. This could be top 5 at the bottom. He's going to be close. We've got a tie for 4th, and he breaks it! Wow, that is a great bottom part of the track.
Come on, Sanders, with that start time, 16th best start. No, take that back. He had the ninth best start,
yeah.
And to turn that into, the 16th person down the track, 9th best start to finish 2nd. All they got to do is clean up that start, 5-6 more hundreds, which they could do. Look at he's a little upset with himself. What happened here, though? These two are usually within 2 or 3 hundredths of the best start, if not the best.
Again, still not at their fittest, are they? But he really drove the bottom part of the track superbly. Drove himself right back into the mix.
So much for the track not having any time in it.
So he splits the Canadians. Oh, and hey, here's another one. So what can Nick Poloniato do? He's got Lascelles Brown behind him. Lascelles, the winner with Chris Spring 2 seasons ago. Silver with Lyndon Rush the year before that. Silver with Patrice Savelle of Monaco, tied with Lyndon Rush 2 years before that.
Nick Poloniato just keeps driving himself into contention. He's very much improved driver, one of the most improved drivers on the scene in the last year of competition.
482 with King behind him, 3rd fastest start. He's got a real shock here.
Really good.
Hollow 500s behind.
He could find some speed here in the bottom and put 3 Canadians in the top 4 or 5 here.
He could be in front of Cripps at this rate. He's hovering around 4th and 5th on the splits. We've got a tie for 3rd, Cripps and Peter. We've got a tie for 5th, Hall and 1. Where is he? Is he between
No,
them?
a mistake cost him right there.
Oh, tied. No, he's not. He's just ahead of Brad Hall and Yun Jong Won by 300ths of a second. So we got 2500s covering the top 7 sleds. And 16 of those hundreds are 1st to 2nd. So 2nd rather down to the 7th sled is 900ths of a second. Boy, that's a nice tight mix.
Mistake on the exit of the finish curve, going uphill, tapped him here. Rough transition on the exit of 6 into 7. Looks like he corrected okay. Watch the way the crossover is here. A little late.
600ths out of 2nd place for Nick Poloniato. That's a good run. Rudy Rinaldi of Monaco next up with Boris Van behind him. There's Max Robert helping with the front of the sled, splitting his time between Monaco and France. As is Bruno Mijon, the coach in the black coat. 15th here last year, and Rudy was 15th and 14th in Lake Placid 2 weeks ago.
Ooh, looks like Rudy.
A little bit of a slip, maybe.
There, yeah. It looks like Boris didn't hit the bar at the same time Rudy did.
Boris gets it in super slow-mo, doesn't he?
Tap out of curve 1, that's what you want to do.
491 starts, that's about 9th, 13th, in fact, in the field.
2 tenths back already.
What they need to do here is make the cut. keep that string of top 20 finishes going.
10th at the World Championships last year in Contender, and that's not going to help. That chicane, tricky. It's a straightaway, but there's two curves in it. It's not a straightaway. Bend away.
And he's behind Francesco Friedrich, the 4-time two-man world champion, but ahead of Johannes Lochner. He slipped behind the Germans now. He'll be in front of Patrick Baumgartner. He is 52.65. I'm saying he's going to be on the bubble. He'll do well to make the second heat with that run. Got a little away from him right at the very beginning. See the French brakeman there helping with the Monegasque team as well.
You look at him get out of the sled a little gingerly. He's still wounded.
Yeah.
He's got a foot injury. Hasn't been able to train properly for the last month, and that's why his start times. But this has nothing to do with your foot injury right there. That's your eyes and your hands.
When you get to see the whole of the side of the sled.
Look at Bruno.
Yikes.
Yikes. That's as bad a line we've seen into that. Ooh, look how high he gets there. It just never stops in this track. This is downwards 90+ miles an hour in the Thunderbird.
Rocky roads down the mountain for Rudy Rinaldi, our 18th of 27 sleds. 19th is 34-year-old Russian Alexander Kasyanov. Double bronze medalist here 2 years ago. Only 9th, though, last year. He's got Alexei Pushkarev behind him. Four-man winner here in 2016 as well. He's never won a World Cup two-man. Closest he came was second in Altenburg last year.
Well, the start, 16th best start. So perfect line exit out of curve 1, which they call slingshot. Well, you know, again, falling out of a 6-story building between curve 1 and 2. Just TV does not do the track justice of how steep it is. If you ever want to come to a bobsled race, never been to one, this is a great track to come to because you won't believe how fast the sleds are going.
Even after rehearsal yesterday, our camera guys came in going, oh man, they're so fast. And they've been doing 2 weeks of this. This is another whole
It's a good run.
Fast, yeah,
considering the start time that he had, he's going to get up in the top 8 or 9 here with a good finish on the bottom. Is he straight here?
It's a good exit. Look,
perfect.
This is a good 100 meters to the line.
Look at that. Yeah, there's Zubkov on the right.
So the head of the Russian Federation is happy with that. Alexander Kasyanov should be as well. Silver here in both races 2 years ago. Can he get in the medals? Not beyond the bounds of possibility. This is a tough track to have 2 consistent runs on.
This is probably the best drive down the track we've seen of anybody. He's the start time that he had. I mean, he was perfect all the way down. Look at the lines. You don't see the split in the sled, articulation maxed out at all. Perfect aerodynamic profile. I mean, he's one of the best drivers in the field right there.
So we still have the Canadians at the top of the pile. This is our 20th sled and a World Cup rookie, USA's 21-year-old Hunter Church, with 30-year-old brakeman Hakeem Abdul-Sabur. 3 North America's Cup podiums in 2-man, 4 in 4-man this season, including 2 gold medals. He's a 3rd-generation slider. His father and his great-uncles were both bobsledders, so he's the baker's grandson.
The brakeman, Sabur's a monster.
Yeah, he did a couple of World Cup starts 2 seasons ago.
Hunter's dad Tommy used to work on sleds in the shop with my brother Sean. I'm sure he's watching the broadcast.
The Steve Holcomb Superman logo on the front of the sled. As he comes down, his first international race at the top level.
Yeah. He's here a couple weeks ago in the North America's Cup.
Yep.
Pretty good lines, 36. It's about what the Germans are down. Ooh, tap there. That's going to cause some problems here. This exit, another exits decently.
Now he's in for Justin Olsen, who's having a week away from the ice this week. 19th place at the moment.
Challenging to get in that top 20.
Well, he may do all right. Cross the line, 52.77. All right, so welcome to the World Cup, Hunter Church. Thrown in, if there is a deep end, this is it. Hakeem Abdul-Sabur, a man who's made a couple of starts, two-man with Dakari Congela a couple of years ago. Dakari now a skeleton slider. And he raced four-man with Nick Cunningham that same weekend.
This is down where you start to get to 75-mile-an-hour speeds. Luder's Loop, 6, 7, 8, 9. Into the stretch they call the links. A bad little tap there, forces him in the middle of the curve, forces the sled to climb and steer off.
Only 20 sleds down, and already several question marks in this first heat of the two-man bobsleigh World Cup. 21st of our starters is the only Latvian bobsled driver in Whistler to ever have won a two-man medal here, Ugis Zalims. He took silver 2 years ago in the opening race of the weekend.
Surprised a lot of people.
Yeah, and given the abilities of his teammates, he's the only one who's been on the top 3 here in two-man. 487 was 10th fastest start. He's 13 on the splits, though. At the moment,
Late there.
Patrick Baumgartner is the man who will get the flick, although he's now slipped out to 15th place.
Whoa!
Oh!
Pretty violent.
And if that hasn't scrubbed a lot of speed away, I don't know what will. 16th on the split, 17th. He's going to be lucky to stay in the race. He's got to avoid the wall. He does. Is he in? He is. And out goes Patrick Baumgartner of Italy, but that was not a pretty trip.
Boy, down, I think it's 11 down the shiver curve. He got in there late. The sled just nosed up near the lip. And when you're doing that, you have to make a big adjustment.
Silver medalist here 2 years ago, and today, hands on hips going, what went wrong?
Well, see how late he is there? That's
Yeah.
in shiver. That's, and after shiver comes that
Skids it backwards there.
12, 13, but this is out of 13. Look at the heads. Can you see the brakeman back there? No good aerodynamics.
Well, Ugis Zalims is in at the moment, but nowhere near where he was a couple of years ago when he last raced here. 22nd of our starters, 23-year-old Austrian Benny Meyer. He's got Kilian Vouch behind him. Benny's best two-man race, 3rd in Eagles last year, his home track. There's his fiancée, Elizabeth Vache. They'll get married in Hawaii at the end of the season. She's going to spend Christmas with the in-laws, and they stay over after the second of our European races in Innsbruck.
16th and 21st in the first two-man events.
Yeah. And
that's unlike his ability.
And only one two-man race here ever. He was 17th a couple of seasons ago.
Little skid of the exit.
485 is a good getaway, 8th fastest in the field, and that puts him in with a shout. Ooh, rocky there. Out of 6, down into 7. Nice tidy exit. Not too bad through the chicane as he drops into 9.
Stayed. Ooh, boy, the time he went from.
Oh, it's him or Hunter Church. One of them's not going to make it, and at the moment, Benny's 18th, but dropping speed. Hunter Church might just stay in. Oh, hang on now, here he comes. Back up to 17th on the splits, hits the wall, but he's in, and Church is out.
Not bad. Hung in there. Drove in the he drove in the bottom. He found a little time.
Yeah.
Because the split time way up there in the 3rd intermediate, he was 18th place.
It was a bit loosey-goosey up at the top, wasn't it?
He had some problems at 11 too.
Yeah. The problem when you get out of 9 and 10 is off 11, it all comes at you in
right
a
there.
rush.
This is down where it gets to be 85 miles an hour, and that little tap there, well, that can unnerve you so much. That's why they call the curve in that section of the track shiver, because you could be shivering with stress.
12, 13, 14, the Gold Rush Trail. Fly at you so fast here. So Hunter Church is out, Patrick Baumgartner is out, Rudy Rinaldi of Monaco is now in the drop zone as Maxim Anjanov of Russia is up with Mikhail Mordasov, his brakeman. Anginov does have the potential to get into the top 20. He did it in one of the two races.
Brakeman's shoulders are way up here. Look at, you can see the Brakeman shoulders back there.
He was wedged in, trying to squeeze down.
Still see him back there. So, and you know, that's the air that travels over the driver's shoulders and into the back end. That's dirty air, and the more dirty air you got, the more less aerodynamic profile you have. On this track, which is a super speedway, every 100 is valuable.
19th fastest start, 19th on the splits at the moment, just about in the race ahead of Rudi Rinaldi and Johannes Lochner of Germany.
Hanging in there.
At the moment, still in front of Lochner. And he's up to 16th, so he's ahead of Francesco Friedrich as well. He's in, and Rinaldi of Monaco is out. 14th at the line.
That's pretty good.
Same as Kazyanov, finding speed there in Thunderbird.
The question is it, you know, since we started the race, it's been about 50 minutes, and could it be getting cooler?
Well, still finding plenty of pace down there in Thunderbird, that sweeping, huge two-pressure corner 16.
Rudi's loop, exit a little late, back end of the sled. Doesn't try to overcorrect. In fact, he got a little skid going in there to 9. Wasn't too bad.
Got away with that, and he's in the race, and Johannes Lochner is going to be cut if anybody goes quicker now.
Someone's got to go quicker. You know, they get Stolnov, Hefty, Bertazzo, Tasker.
Yeah.
There's got to be one, if not two guys are going to beat him.
Well, Friedrich is 18th, Lochner 20th.
They could be both knocked out.
They could both be bumped.
I
refuse
to believe this is happening.
Definitely not beyond the bounds of possibility. And Alexei Stulnev, he might have a shot at this as well. He's got Ilya Malik behind him.
Look at the stride. Let's watch him get in. Watch the arms. Oh, that wasn't smooth.
493, same as Anginov. So off that start, Anginov drove himself into 14th.
19th best start. So now he's got to have perfect lines.
Could be the end of Johannes Lochner's day.
Better aerodynamic profile on this Brakeman than the previous Russian sled.
John, we had 2 Olympic champions in the women's skeleton race. Neither of them made the cut.
Second run. Well, this is the persona of the Whistler track.
He's in 17th, he's in, and Lochner's out.
This is good lines. He was smooth in that chicane part of the track. 2300's back.
He's in 12th place on the splits. What a drive.
Top 10.
Stulnev is in 10th place on the splits.
He won his first medal here a couple years ago in Formula.
And at the line, 9th.
So there it goes.
There goes Johannes Lochner of Germany.
Last year's world champion in Formula. Junior world champion 2 years ago.
And a double race winner in 2-man in St. Moritz and Koenigsegg.
He won the race last weekend in Park City in 4-man. So I don't.
2-man bronze medalist in
lost for world. I like to see what the German camp's thinking right now in this strategy. Look at the lines here. I mean, that's as quiet exit of Luder's loop as we've seen. How are these lines? Down the left side, a little bit of tap, but that sled did not vary one bit. Here we are. Look at the exit 7, 8, 9. The links part of the track. I mean, good lines, good driving. He was rewarded.
He is in 20th place now. Ugi Zalims, the only Latvian to have ever won a medal on this track in 2-man. 19th, Francesco Friedrich. 3 sleds to go. Will the 39-year-old oldest driver in the field please step up? Bert Hefty with Jan Moulinier behind him. Didn't race 2-man here last year, but he had 2-man bronze here in 2011 and 12 with Thomas Lamparter pushing him.
Well, the best starter in the world in the front seat for about 8 years is no longer the best starter in the field.
495, the Russians.
23rd best start. That is shocking.
The Russians were in off of 493. He could do this.
Well, the skeleton this morning, the girl had the best 23rd best start, Jacqueline Lolling, and she won the race. And she hit everything in sight in the second run.
Now, Hefty is not improving. 23rd at the start, 24th on the splits.
He's got some strict qualifications from the Swiss Olympic Committee.
Now, he is a 2-man driver, not a 4-man. They're making him do 4-man, but he is a 2-man fan. Can he get it together? 23rd, he's not in the race at the moment.
And remember that in the Olympic Games in Sochi, or here in Vancouver 2010. He crashed in the first heat down on a Swiss experimental sled, never recovered, did not compete in the two-man competition, and he was the Swiss hope. Look at Wolfgang Stampfer, the coach. Look at that.
Misses the cut for the second time in 3 attempts here in North America in his favoured weapon, the two-man bobsled.
He certainly got the sponsorship.
Yep. He has not got the drive here to get him into the race.
The exit, not bad. You know, comes down the left side. He'll be down the right side. Everybody else is on the left. But look at him go from right to left, then taps. But he was 23rd all the way down from the start to finish. Never improved.
Nope, didn't come close. So Johannes Lochner is out. Francesco Friedrich in 19th place. The 4-time two-man world champion might hang on. There are 2 sleds remaining, Simone Bertazzo of Italy and Bruce Tasker of Great Britain. Simone Bertazzo, 35-year-old veteran, and again, two-man his weapon of choice as a driver. It's asking a lot of Mattia Variola to try and outstart the Russians and the Germans, though.
Oh, look at pick the sled up. You pick the sled up like that, puts a lot of pressure on the nose. Putting the nose down in those grooves creates more friction. And there's the 24th best start of almost all sleds.
497 is 400s behind the Russian Stulnev, who finished in 9th place just 2 or 3 sleds ago.
Accomplished driver in his day, multiple winner of the World Cup on his track in Cesano, Torino. And his best finish to World Championships, a bronze in St. Moritz in '97. Those are as good a lines as we've seen from anybody.
But he's not picking up speed. 25th place off the 24th start. Like Hefty, he's not finding anything here.
It's hard to watch these former best in the sport not even make the cut. It's tough for me to watch this.
Friedrich is going to be in the race, and Bertazzo is not. Friedrich is in 19th place with 1 sled to go. He'll make the cut. Ugis Zalims in the drop zone has another couple of minutes to wait to find out whether he will have to prepare for Heat 2 or whether he will have to wait until tomorrow and the 4-man race. Bertazzo doesn't make it, 25th of 26 sleds down.
Oh, the drive lines are as good as anybody we've seen. But when you have the 25th best start, this is down to 50-50. Good aerodynamic profiles, good lines. Simone Bertazzo, last season of competition.
Yep, beats only his teammate Patrick Baumgartner. 1 sled to go, and the final sled on ice, Bruce Tasker, and World Cup debutants, 21-year-old parachute regiment soldier Nick Gleason. 21 2 weeks ago, Nick, his first ever World Cup start, with Bruce Tasker in the front seat. Bruce was 26th and 25th in Lake Placid, 19th here in the two-man a couple of years ago, in fact last season. So Nick Gleason, you saw that legs trembling there before his first ever start. I'm not surprised if he's got first night nerves, and Bruce just avoids the wall off a 484 getaway. That's very quick.
But on this super speedway, it's about aerodynamics, and just take a look at the pictures of how much of Nick's shoulders can you see back there.
Big skid there from Tasker. He's got a Swiss sled, the same as we saw with Bert Hefty and Rico Peter. Bert Hefty 23rd, Rico Peter tied for 3rd.
Late, watch out.
Big skid.
Now he's in 20th now. I can't see him making the cut the rest of the way because he's got his hands full.
Yeah, Tasker's had 1 two-man race here, 23rd place. He's not in the field. Teammate Brad Hall is. Oh, and he's gone. Trying to find the pace.
50 curve.
The last of our 27 sleds is the one that the track bites. He will come across the line, not fast enough to guarantee a second heat. The medical crew,
they better watch them get the hook on.
They'll get the hooks in to stop the sled heading back down.
It's the last thing you want with your car is to get the hook on you, and it's the last thing you want to do here in Whistler is get the hook on you.
Well, the last thing is not to get the hooks in to start sliding backwards. Well, the medical crews have seen a few crashes in training. There's Nick Gleason, his first ever World Cup start. He is officially now a real bobsledder. He started in the World Cup and he's been crashed.
Looked okay out of the 50-50 curve, 13, but he rolled it into 14, which is a common occurrence that you see here. But Bruce was having problems all the way down. Now watch him come off a little late. Now come over. Did he tap? Yeah, he tapped before he got in the curve, and then he came in too late, and the pressure just rolled him in.
Just slapped his heads down on the ice there.
The take-on is where you get on the curve. The outlet's where you get off. If you tap the take-on getting in, forces you in the middle of the curve, and that crash was at the fastest part, so 91 miles an hour.
On the heads there, through the final speed trap, still doing 85.5 miles an hour.
Upside down.
On your head, with your helmet bouncing on the ice, yeah. And that's why they wear helmets, and that's why the medical crews are there. And Bruce's helmet is going to need a bit of work, but fortunately it's done its job. He's in one piece, as is Nick Gleason. They complete our first heat here, but they will not get a second run. That always looked to be on the cards. He wasn't in the race. Now they'll lift the sled out there just below our TV trucks at the low point.
Telling me that Lochner missed by 100th of a second.
But the man on top of the pile is wearing the maple leaf of Canada. He's won on this track 2 seasons ago. He tied for victory with Yoon Jung-won of Korea. He leads here by 1600ths, and that's one of the biggest gaps in the field, first to second. Oskars Melbardis, Justin Cripps, Rico Peter, Alexander Kasyanov, Nick Polonyato, all in the top half dozen, all 3 Canadian sleds in the top 6. But look at the pace that Chris Spring found. 1600ths clear. Another 1600ths gets you to the bottom of the top 10, because Oskars Kubermanis is 3300ths behind. So Spring has got as much in hand over second as everyone else racked together. Second down to 10th place is separated by. It doesn't mean he's won it, but it does mean he can afford maybe one small mistake in the second heat and still hold on to that lead. It is going to be tight. We've got a couple of ties up and down the field. And as in the women's skeleton race earlier, the tales of who doesn't make it in are almost as important as who does. Johannes Lochner does not make the cut.
When was the last time a German did make the cut?
I can't
Not in our
say.
lifetime.
Okay, that's it for the first heat. Join John Morgan, me, Martin Haven, and the IBSF TV crew for the second run. It starts at 4:30 local time, so in some 27 minutes here in Whistler, British Columbia. We'll see you then. Bye for now.